This week, we are discussing the Bitcoin community in India and the new developments with local regulators. I'm joined today by Amitoj Singh, CoinDesk regulatory reporter in India, and Nischal Shetty, CEO of WazirX, one of India's largest crypto exchanges. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey.
Glad to have you on, definitely. And Nischal, I wanted to start with you. Recently, you stated, we have entered a period of pain in regards to the regulation in India. What are some of the new provisions that you think may stifle the innovation in India in the crypto era?
Sure. I think I would like to first, let everyone know that while there are these roadblocks with the new tax regime that's set to come in very soon, in a few days, in fact, I would still say that India is progressing in terms of the regulatory discussions and directions compared to, let's say, even a year ago or a few years ago, where there was complete uncertainty. So today we are in a far better position in terms of the regulatory discussions. Having said that, I think some of the key changes that are going to negatively affect the growth of crypto, or at least it's going to create roadblocks. I don't think it's going to go in a completely bad direction, but we could have gone faster if these changes were not so harsh. For example, there's this 30% flat income tax on the profits that you make, irrespective of the tax slab that you fall under. So in India, typically there is a 0% income tax if you earn below a certain amount, and then there's a 10%, 20%. The problem with this new tax regime for crypto is, irrespective of the tax slab that you fall into, you still have to pay 30% if you make a profit. So that's one of the biggest problems, because those who do not fall under the tax bracket until today, they still have to file their taxes. They still have to pay a 30% income tax. So it's going to affect those who are under the non-taxable bracket in general. And that happens to be all those in the 18 to 25-year-old age, because these people who are still in college, they're still learning, they're participating in crypto for the first time. So it's a big barrier to entry for them. Filing taxes, we all know it's not an easy, smooth process. So that's the biggest problem. I think the second problem is, you cannot offset your losses in one crypto. For example, if you lose money on, let's say, a coin one, you cannot offset that loss in the profit that you make on coin two. What that means is you still have to pay 30% income tax on the profits of coin two, even if you lose a lot more than the profits that you make in coin one. So that's something I would say a bigger problem, and a lot of people are worried because it might end up in scenarios where you might actually pay more than the money you lose or the capital that you put into crypto. So it's sort of a double-edged sword for a lot of people. The third is the introduction of 1% TDS. What that means is that whenever you're selling crypto to someone, the deduct 1% capital. They have to file it again to the government. The problem with that is for day traders. When they trade a lot in a day, just imagine every round trip you're losing 1% of your capital. So a lot of your capital gets locked up, which you can later claim after a year. But for those who trade, let's say 200, 300 times a day, that's a lot of money just getting blocked for a long period of time. So I think these are some of the major concerns. There are quite a few other nuances as well, but I would say these are the top major concerns right now.
Right, and it definitely seems like a barrier to entry for a lot of the newer people. And Amitoj, how do you feel about these new taxes that are being implemented? As you just stated, the 30% tax rate, the 1% on each trade. How do you feel about these transactions, and will it stifle innovation more than it'll help?
Look, I say thanks for having me. One of the things that we try to do as journalists is try to understand the perspectives of both sides. And that doesn't mean that we're trying to tell one side and the other side without trying to tell what's the difference between the two in terms of who's telling the truth. So I think when you ask me as a journalist what I feel, it's a difficult question for me to understand because I'm trying to take my feelings out of this. If I could answer that by keeping my feelings in this, then I would say that it seems that like this is a bit of a disproportionate tax regime that the government has put in. Now, when you ask them, they don't feel that. And when you ask the exchanges, they feel it is, definitely disproportionate. The thing that's perhaps most confusing when you talk about public sentiment, and we're talking about the perception, the public sentiment of 1.4 billion people, that's a lot of people really, is that they all feel a sense of mass confusion because the government has decided to tax something without really saying it is legal. Now, logically speaking, that makes no sense because how can you tax something that's illegal? That question has been asked to the finance minister, Nirmala Sitharaman, and she has categorically said, look, we're looking for wide consensus and then we'll come up with the proper crypto regulation. In the meantime, if somebody else, either the exchange or a trader, is making any profit, then we're certainly going to tax it because that's just the way things work in any country. So there is logic there too. It's just a bit confusing for the average consumer, for the average crypto enthusiast, and that's troubling. Disproportionately, the 30% tax. When Nischal was talking about the fact that India traditionally has tax slabs, it does make sense. So, for example, if somebody is only making 20,000 rupees in the salary that they have, and they're managing to put 5,000 off that in crypto trading, they're still going to get taxed when their entire salary doesn't get taxed because they're below the barrier that the government puts. So that's a bit dumbfounding for anyone actually.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things that I've seen looking over these stories is that they're taxing people who normally don't get taxed at all for using something that technically they haven't said is legal. So, Nischal, do you think that there should be a set of rules strictly for the crypto industry that sort of leaves out the old finance ways and looks toward a new future with new crypto innovations?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a set of, I would say, rules that would foster innovation in crypto in India, but I think it's a lot harder to implement, and that's probably also the reason why the government is trying to, put this into existing laws. And the problem with that is it's been put into some of the harsher existing law. I've seen, some people talking about how this is being taxed on par with, let's say, a lottery win or a gambling win, because the same rule applies in gambling, where if you earn any income of, let's say, a lottery ticket, you're supposed to pay a 30% tax. So unfortunately, even if you want to club it into an existing law, I would say we could always choose something which is less harsh than what it is. Your question of would we want a brand new law is a definite yes, because that's always the target for all of us as an industry. But I think it will take a longer period, because that involves a lot of discussions. If you look at the rest of the world as well, it's not like everything's figured out in any nation. Everyone's still trying to figure out what is crypto, how do you tax it. So I wouldn't really push for that in India right away, especially because India is a large country, over 1 billion people, and it's a lot of nuances that you'll have to get into to really create something specific to crypto in India. But while you do that, I would suggest that we should at least go on the easier side of the existing regulations. Simple is we could have put this into the regular tax slabs. So if you are in the taxable bracket, maybe yes, you should pay income taxes. But if you're not in the taxable bracket, making you pay income tax is actually going to deter someone from entering this innovative sector. And if you look at the history and the background of India, we are a tech nation. So what we are doing with this, harsh tax law is we are discouraging the youth who are going to be the ones who are going to create the skill sets and acquire them to compete in this sector for India. Now, if we discourage the youth, the problem is 10 years from now, we'll not have enough skill sets to compete on a global level. And crypto is global. It's not like India can stay away from crypto while the rest of the world is not participating. Everyone is participating in the world. And if we as a nation have to be competitive, we'll have to build those skill sets. So the problem is not just about people in investing into crypto. The problem is also about people, investing their time into crypto. They're not going to do that if you, discourage them. And if people do not invest their time into crypto, they're not going to create the crypto skill sets that a country like India needs so that it can be competitive. So my larger concern today with what is happening is it's going to discourage the young population from understanding and learning about this technology, which in the long run is going to be a real bad thing for our nation to compete on a global level. Let's hope, as a nation we revisit this. But yeah, I think the problem right now is about discouraging everyone from getting to understand this technology.